Hello and what is going on today, guys? Tomcat here and welcome back to Need for Speed Heat for a look at some customization and gameplay with the Jaguar F-Type. Now the F-Type was not a car that was touched on really all that much by anybody else, and I figured it would be a little bit of a unique car to check out and see what we could do with it. Now we're going to be going through a full build of this car, but I also wanted to drive it around a little bit first and just kind of, see how it drove, see what it was like, and it has some pretty, middle of the road handling, I would say. I mean, it'll slide if you want it to slide, but it won't continue on for very long, so it's not really a full drift car. But at the same time, it's not full grip spec either. I mean, it's not like it's going to prevent you from sliding it or prevent you from drifting it. And I love the fact that they give you the option to just kind of fool around in this big stadium area with the old racetrack in it, literally right across the street from a car dealer. So you can literally pick up a car, bring it out here, and be like, okay, I pretty much know how the car turns, slides, jumps, and so on and so forth. So with all that being said, I actually almost missed my turn to go over to the garage, so I was like, crap, last minute turn, please make it, thank you, please and thank you. Someone has a Supra right there. But anywho, we're going to go ahead and jump back into the garage. And I do kind of like how they comment on, your car that you bring into the garage. Like, if you bring something nice, they're like, oh, moving up there, eh? Or something to that effect. But jumping into the customization on the F-Type, it's something that you wouldn't really think would have that many options for customization, but it actually does. And the options are a lot more dramatic than you may think. But in a second here, we're going to go ahead and go to the exhaust tuning, and I'm going to let you guys go ahead and just hear that by itself. So once I was happy with that, I decided that from that point on, it was time to make the car look the way I wanted it to. So started out with a little bit of a little bit of paint stuff, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and handle all the body stuff first, and then we'll do paint later. Like, why do the body now when you could go ahead, why do the paint now when you could go ahead and do the body stuff now, and then line up all the paint colors and everything like that once the body work is done. So finding a set of wheels that I wanted for this car was a bit tricky because I was like, well, I want something different. I want something that I haven't really ever used before, and so I settled on these, and these are a very interesting looking wheel from Rotiform, and I wanted something that would look cool, but at the same time, I didn't really care if it was super motorsport looking. And with that being said, I was like, all right, well, I don't really need to worry about weight. I don't really need to worry about, making it look like a true race car. This car was built to be a street car, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll just do something cool, street car related, doesn't have to be, ultra functional. Just wanted the car to look cool. And with that being, put out there, with just wanting the car to look cool, I kind of went a little overboard on the wing, and you guys will see what I mean by that a little bit later on when I say I went a little overboard with the wing. But whether or not the wing is overboard to you is up to you to decide. Let's put it that way. Because the wing itself, oof, she's a big one. She's a big one. So definitely let me know in the comment section below once you guys see what wing I went with. Let me know what you guys think of it. But I kind of wanted to get the idea out there of how big you could truly go on the wings. However, this car does have some odd wing options, and this game has some odd wing options in general. Some wing options that I look at and I go, are you sure about that? Would anybody put that on their real car? I don't know. I'm a little bit confused on some of the wing options, but again, that's not any fault of the game. That doesn't make the game bad in any way, shape, or form. That just means that literally everybody has a choice on what they want to put on their car. So once I decided to kind of start messing around with a couple more parts, and then I realized that you couldn't really put canards on the stock bumper, I was like, okay, well, we're gonna need a different bumper. That's pretty inevitable. So looking at the couple of different bumpers, I was like, did I know what I want? I was like, do I know what I want? Not too sure. I ended up going with the second option because it looks a little bit like OEM Plus. You do have those, like, kind of weird-looking, you know, like, like, they almost look like house vents. Like, you know, they look kind of like a hood vent, but more like a house vent, in my opinion. So you could do those. I ended up doing the half cutoff style fenders because I really like those, and then just the slightly wider arches in the rear that have that real molded look, so they're not, you know, covered in rivets. Not to say that riveted body panels don't look good, but they, you know, they differ from car to car. Now, that, if you want to throw a piece of sheet metal on the back of your car, feel free to do so. If you want a very unaerodynamic piece of sheet metal, have at it. But again, you know, if that's the look you're going for, then it is available to you. And when I said that the wing options on this car were definitely varied, they're definitely varied. That's more like a little bit of a Lexan spoiler. That just looks interesting. Get your big wing options from APR, Voltex. Now, if I wanted to go for a clean look on this car, I would probably have ended up going with that APR that I just showed you, but I found this, and it was one of those moments back, if you remember from old Top Gear, it's one of those moments where Clarkson was like, I went on the internet last week, and I found this. And that's kind of the moment that I had, and I figured the plate that I chose was fitting, because I was like, you know what? This wing is a big oof, and it shows, because I was like, yeah, the plate needs to represent how big of an oof this wing is, and I don't mean oof in a bad way. I mean, it's one of those wings that I would look at, and it's like, all right, I know everybody's not going to like that, but you know what? Mad props for throwing that on the back of your car and not caring what people think, because there's going to be purists out there that are going to be like, literally going to shout from the rooftops, oh my god, you're the biggest ricer on the planet and you've absolutely destroyed your car. When in reality, all you've done is bolted a wing to the back, but never mind that. It's easily fixable. And then there are going to be people that are going to be like, oh my god, I don't know what that is, but I love it and I need it in my life. So you're going to get mixed reactions from this wing, yes. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's just one of those things that, like, is it going to get attention? Absolutely. Is it going to get both positive and negative attention? Absolutely. But, I mean, do you really care when you have a wing that big on the back of your car? No, it's for you, not the people that are shouting from the rooftops how big of a ricer they think you are. Which, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, who cares if you think it looks cool? So I was thinking about going over the top and doing like some sort of crazy Bosu pipe or something like that, but I kind of decided to go with sort of a big bore exhaust at the end of the day, because I was like, I mean, I've already got the massive wing. I feel like the Bosu pipes would be a little bit over the top, a little bit overboard, and a little bit too much. But I was like, the big bore exhausts are just enough of a touch to the back of the car that it doesn't really need much more than that. I darkened the taillights just a little bit. Not all the way, didn't go full blackout because, you know, as we all know, I blacked out my taillights, so they work less. Hashtag regular car reviews. But anyway, I think the exhaust choice that we went with is just out there enough without being too over the top crazy. I decided to put the track mirrors on this thing too because of, you know, just a little bit of a nice custom touch. Side skirt wise, you do have a couple of options that tie in with these fenders. And I was like, do I really want them? Not really, because the current side skirts that are on there also tie in with the fenders really, really well. Did a pretty, you know, pretty nice curved splitter, nothing too over the top or crazy. And I was like, all right, it's time to go ahead and mess with the colors, because while it actually doesn't look all that crazy like wide body wise, it is actually wide body. And that's the thing, is that the front fenders widen it a little bit, the rear fenders widen it a little bit. So technically, it's a wide body car. It's just not as out there as some of the other wide body cars that you may be used to. Now, on this car, I did want to go with some crazy like color shift wrap, because I was like, you know what? It's already got the huge wing. It might as well have the color shift wrap on it too. So I decided to go ahead and put it on there. And I figured, I was like, I like purple when it comes to color shift. I was like, you know what? I like purple. I'm going to go with purple. There's no reason not to go with purple at this point. So on a car this shouty, a color shift purple makes complete and total sense. And actually, the color I ended up going with is not quite as dark as the color shift wrap that Black Panther had on his RCF, which RIP the RCF's wrap. But at the end of the day, I ended up kind of going for a similar theme here, a similar idea, and I think it turned out pretty nice. I think it turned out pretty nice, and it's always been a color idea that I think looks really good on a lot of different cars. So I don't know. I was happy with the color. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys are happy with the color, if you think that it was a good idea, a good decision, or a bad idea and a terrible decision, and that I don't know anything about modifying cars, and I have no taste. So if that's how you feel, let me know in that there comment section down below, boss. So loading out into the world, I decided to keep the convertible top down as well, because you could put the convertible top up, but like, bro, we're basically in Florida. Like, who cares? Leave the top down. Like, literally leave the freaking top down. And I know there's going to be that one guy out there that's like, you know the wing is less efficient with the top down, right? I'm like, bruh, this is literally a modified street car. We are not caring that much about the downforce that the wing makes. But looks really good in the sun. I think that the color really pops, and driving it around in the world, I really think it suits the idea of the location. I think it suits the character of the location really, really well. And I think that at the end of the day, you know, I mean, it sounds great as well. When we're ripping down these highways here, I think it sounds awesome. And it's like, you know, you drive past like a Dodge Caliber in traffic, or like a stock BMW E46 like 330 in traffic. You're like, yeah, this makes sense. I mean, would you rather be normal and average, or you know, out there and crazy? So I decided to pull off on the side of the road and go into photo mode for a bit. And by the way, you can get some really cool shots with the photo mode in this game. I mean, you could get some really cool angles, and if you turn the UI off, you can also get some really nice cinematic shots, which, again, you know, I am no master of cinematics or anything like that. I mean, that's more like Crowned territory. I mean, he's freaking crazy with that stuff. Photos, cinematics, I mean, the dude is nuts with that kind of stuff. And he was actually the guy that I accidentally bumped into in my Miata video, scratched his $1 million F40. He was a little bit displeased about that. But there's the Big Oof in all its glory, the Big Wang of Big Oofville. And at the end of the day, you know, I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, sponsored by Boeing, hashtag Jeep guy. I mean, it really does look cool, though, at the end of the day, I think. I mean, and it looks cool because of how over the top it is. It looks cool because of how over the top it is, and I think it fits in Need for Speed because of how over the top it is. And I mean, when you get these nice, you know, lookouts of the city, and the city skyline in particular, you realize that that's really one of the biggest things that they were going for, was giving you those views, those vistas. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, you look out at it and you're like, oh yeah, this looks good. This looks so good and so bright. I mean, at the end of the day, man, you've gotta realize that the visuals of the game were such a big part of just the design of everything in general, that you kind of like start to think about it at the end of the day, and you're like, huh, they really did put a lot of thought into the lines of sight here. The lines of sight are such a big deal, and being able to look at something like the city and then just drive into it and like have it go from being a city skyline that you're overlooking to a city that you're driving through in literally a matter of about 10 seconds is such a cool thing. I absolutely love that. So we're going to go ahead and jump into a race now, and I really wanted to race this car because I left it very middle of the road in terms of, like, you know, in terms of performance. I didn't really even touch the performance customization because I wanted to see what it would drive like if I left it as a very middle of the road approach. And you know what? To be honest, it drove very middle of the road. And when I say it drove very middle of the road, I don't mean that in a bad way. I actually mean that in a very good way, because you'll see here in the race, we were able to, you know, turn in and kind of flick the car in and throw the car in, driving it kind of drift style, but we were also able to drive it also drift style if that was, you know, if the situation either demanded that or I desired that from a driving standpoint. So really, like, again, you'll see bits and pieces of the race where I'll drive it in full grip mode, like right there, or I'll throw it in sideways in an attempt to try to get it slowed down by sliding it into the corners. So when you start playing the game for longer, you start to kind of develop little techniques here and there, and I am by no means a master of it just yet, but I'm really just trying to get a little bit more accustomed to it, as I go along and really kind of get my techniques down. And once I was out in first place, I was like, okay, cool, no worries, I'm just going to focus on driving now. And as you can see, drifting into that corner allowed me to give it a little bit more of an adjustment towards the end of the corner. Now, albeit I made that adjustment a little late, but back there you can see that there was a very, very obvious, portion of the corner where I transitioned from grip into drift, but it was very, very smooth. It's not a snap anymore. It's not like an instant, like, big difference between, like, okay, we're driving in a grip fashion, and then bang, we're driving in a drift fashion. It's very, like, smooth and even transition-wise, and I like that. And I like the fact that, you know, when you set up a car in the middle of the road, you don't really touch the handling tuning. I was like, okay, I just want to see what that looks like and what that feels like, and it actually felt really, really good. So if you're not inclined to really ever touch the performance customization, you'll still get a really nice handling experience. And really, what the performance customization gets you is the ability to just tune it a little bit further towards grip or towards drift. And I think that helps. That helps a lot because your casual players aren't going to feel left out by an overly intimidating performance customization system that they need to learn how to use in order to win races. Like, if you want to win races, you don't really have to mess with the handling tuning at all, but you can if you desire to make the car handle a certain way. And by the way, that's why I wanted to leave this video a little bit on the longer side to show the customization of the car as well as the racing, because I felt like it would give people a little bit more insight onto what they were getting into, and the fact that you know, casual gameplay isn't really all that affected if you want to, like, stay away from the handling tuning. But if you do want to stay away from if you do want to use the handling tuning, you have that option as well. So if you guys enjoyed this video, then make sure to click that like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought of it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe for more. And I will see y'all in the next one. Talk to y'all later.